bad ideas. And again, this ugly streak,
Well, you look
ugly streak of anti-Semitism.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's, you know, Bernie is,
Bernie, yeah.
Bernie is, I mean, he's not a capitalist, you know?
No, he's not. And he's also not president.
He's not, but
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, no, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people, they boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Maher has returned with another biting commentary, this time aiming at the Democrats and one of their emerging figures, Zoran Mani. In his newest monologue, Maher breaks down what he views as growing fractures within the DNC, suggesting that the party's current path and Mamdani's version of democratic socialism could create serious challenges for its future. It's a blunt and thought-provoking look at where U.S. politics may be heading next. Buckle up! This one's definitely worth watching.
It seems to me that there are two pillars that this country is founded on. One is democracy, and one is capitalism, free markets. And it seems like one party wants to get rid of one, and the other party wants to get rid of the other. Right? The Republicans are not that, democracy is just not number one on their list. It just isn't. It isn't. It's behind Christianity and a few other things. And the Democrats, I mean, I read these 74%, are for democratic socialism. Only 16% favor capitalism. Is this going to be a country that I don't recognize in 5 to 10 years if we don't have these two?
Let's get one thing straight. It's not that Republicans have a problem with democracy, it's that they believe in fairness. For years, they've watched left-leaning media outlets and their devoted followers continuously go after them, especially former President Donald Trump. From unverified stories to attention-grabbing headlines, the aim always seemed the same: to make the Republican Party look bad in the eyes of the public. These constant attacks have eroded trust in journalism and widened the political divide. So the real question is this: if misinformation and false narratives have caused so much damage, shouldn't those spreading them be held accountable? After all, democracy depends not on deceit, but on honesty, openness, and equal justice under the law.
If we don't, I mean, where are the Democrats going with this? If Mamdani is the face of the Democrats on the East Coast and Katie Porter is the face on the West Coast, I don't know if that's great politically for that party.
Bill Maher is raising some valid questions here. Both Zoran Mamdani and Katie Porter are emerging political figures whose ideas have sparked intense debate about the nation's direction. Mamdani, a self-described democratic socialist, pushes for rent freezes, publicly owned grocery stores, fare-free public transit, and increased taxes on major corporations and the wealthy. His vision, while idealistic to some, leans toward an economy largely directed by government influence. Porter, meanwhile, argues that transgender-identifying men should be permitted to compete in women's sports, framing her stance around inclusion and equality. On the surface, both leaders seem to promote fairness and progress. Yet beneath the polished language lies a more complex truth, one that raises critical questions about fairness, economic stability, and the delicate balance between compassion and practicality in shaping America's future.
New York is New York. It's definitely it's the media capital, the financial capital. It is a bellwether like no other city is in this country. So don't tell me that who the mayor of New York is doesn't matter.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Do you think, let's say, on the seize the means of production, do you think the mayor, that one person, if he is a democratic socialist, do you think that he would have the power and influence to be able to, usher in socialism?
He definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party nationally. I think the Republicans are going to... When you let the Democrats, socialists... And now they're actually calling themselves socialists. When you let them take over a major American city, this is what you get. The state-run grocery stores, which work so well in Cuba and the Soviet Union and Venezuela.
Did you catch what Maher said at the very start? He pointed out that electing Zoran Mamdani would practically hand the presidency to J.D. Vance, or whichever candidate the GOP puts forward. And honestly, he's got a point. Many voters recognize the real-world consequences of drifting too close to socialism, and they're not willing to gamble on that. America's political pendulum swings quickly, and when one side pushes too far left, the other side gains traction. Maher's argument is straightforward but cutting. If Democrats throw their support behind figures like Mandani, whose policies lean heavily towards socialist principles, they risk losing the moderate and independent voters who ultimately decide elections. In that scenario, the 2028 race could become an easy win for the GOP. Mandani's rise isn't just a New York headline, it's a warning sign for the entire Democratic Party.
Bad ideas, and again, this ugly streak,
Look,
streak of anti-Semitism.
Who's the most popular politician on the left?
AOC? I don't know.
One of, but who's, Bernie is, Bernie is, I mean, he's not a capitalist,
No, he's not. And he's also not president.
He's not, but
never would be.
But neither is Mamdani.
No, but he will, trust me, he will be featured in the campaign commercials.
But they're going to feature people. They boogeyman everybody.
Yeah, but you don't have to boogeyman him. He does it to himself.
Exactly. Mandani ends up becoming his own worst enemy. His vision of a socialist-style system sounds appealing in theory, promising fairness, equality, and government support for everyone. But in practice, it raises serious concerns about personal liberty, economic stability, and the long-term cost of maintaining such a model. Beyond his policies, Mandani has also sparked controversy over his outspoken remarks on Israel and a series of divisive posts that have polarized voters. While these comments may appeal to a small segment of his base, they alienate a much broader audience who see them as extreme or disconnected from mainstream values. In today's political landscape, perception can make or break a candidate, and Mandani's rhetoric often overshadows his intentions. To many Americans, his ideas feel too radical, too uncertain, and too far removed from the realities of effective leadership, making his path to national power seem highly improbable.
They'll do it regardless. Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, but
they make anybody into boogeyman.
It has.
I think it was
just have more weight when it's real. I mean, when you can really.
Interestingly, the very individuals this liberal keeps citing as victims of conservative attacks have, in many ways, damaged their own reputations. Take Gavin Newsom, for example. His decline didn't come from a right-wing plot. It stemmed from his own failures in leadership during the devastating wildfires that tore through the Palisades in California. He appeared completely unprepared, with too few fire crews available, and to make things worse, water that could have saved homes and lives was diverted to protect fish habitats. Then there's Nancy Pelosi, who didn't need any political rival to harm her image. She managed that herself when reports surfaced, accusing her of insider trading that allegedly earned her millions. The irony is striking. The liberal elite often claim they're being unfairly portrayed, yet their own questionable choices and misplaced priorities tell the story more clearly than any critic ever could.
This must be horrible for a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much. And here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mandani, right? Okay, who's like a straight up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah. Mandani seems to have struck a chord with younger Democratic voters, but much of that enthusiasm comes from idealism rather than real understanding. Many of these supporters haven't lived through, or seriously studied, the harsh realities of communism. To them, it sounds like a perfect world, equality for everyone, wealth shared fairly, and power in the hands of ordinary people. On paper, it's a beautiful dream. But in reality, history paints a very different picture. One marked by economic collapse, oppression, and the loss of personal freedom. From the Soviet Union to Cuba and Venezuela, countless countries have tried and failed under the weight of such systems. Yet the appeal endures among young people who see it as a more compassionate alternative to capitalism. What they often overlook is that behind the promises of equality usually come control, censorship, and the destruction of individual drive, the very principles democracy was built to protect. Every couple of decades, it seems, we need a reminder of that hard truth.
Every 20 years or so.
Wait.
We need every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can crack it up again. Socialist slogan used to be, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains. The new socialist slogan is, trust us, this time it won't.
Exactly my point. History has shown time and again that socialism fails far more often than it succeeds. Yet many young Democrats seem determined to give it another shot, as if their version will somehow be the one that finally gets it right. But the reality is, we don't need to repeat old mistakes to understand their outcomes. There's no need to experience socialism firsthand when decades of economic hardship and social collapse in nations that adopted it already tell the story. The pattern never changes. Grand promises of equality and fairness eventually give way to shortages, censorship, and the erosion of personal freedom. Instead of reliving history's failures, we should learn from them and recognize that while capitalism isn't perfect, it still fosters innovation, opportunity, and upward mobility, the very values socialism has consistently destroyed.
So, when the post-war Labour government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism.
So you see, Maher is absolutely right. If the Democrats were to put forward Mandani and possibly Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as their 2028 ticket, it would almost certainly lead to political disaster. That kind of duo might energize a small portion of the younger far-left base, but it would push away the broader electorate, especially older, moderate, and working-class voters. These are people who have experienced the real-world impact of extreme policies and understand how destructive radical ideologies can be to a nation's economy and social stability. The older generation, in particular, would see past the slogans and recognize that such a ticket isn't what the country needs. What Democrats should focus on now is balance and practicality, not ideological extremes. A Mandani AOC ticket might sound daring in theory, but in reality, it would only deepen divisions and send voters straight toward a more centrist or conservative alternative.
Not about the big crowds that come out to you when you're talking in a festival or wherever they are. I think because I think Bernie showed up at Coachella. That must have been fun for the fans. It's who shows up on Election Day. And I just don't see that's the ticket. I mean, Cory Booker, I know you've worked with him. I like Cory a lot from my home state of New Jersey. Made a speech for 25 hours. Again, just whacking each other off. This is just not what's going to get the job done.
What the Democrats truly need right now is a candidate who's grounded in reality. Someone who genuinely understands the everyday struggles of ordinary Americans. The party has spent far too much time trapped in echo chambers, debating abstract ideas and identity politics, while voters are increasingly focused on real-life issues like the rising cost of living, job security, and economic stability. People aren't waking up thinking about ideological battles. They're worried about paying rent, affording groceries, and keeping their families afloat. To win back public trust, Democrats must step outside their political and cultural bubbles and start listening to a wider range of voices, not just those who reinforce their own views. They need a leader capable of bridging the gap between progressive ideals and practical solutions. Someone who connects emotionally, economically, and realistically with the heartbeat of the nation. And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.